Ancient armies didn't have gunpowder. They had brains, rage, and whatever their environment gave them to work with. What they built instead is somehow scarier. Sling. A rock leaves a Balearic slinger's hand at over 200 miles per hour, faster than a fastball, faster than most bullets fired from early firearms centuries later. The Balearic Islands, off the coast of modern Spain, raised their boys on this weapon from childhood. Kids aren't allowed to eat until they hit a target with a sling first. By adulthood, these men can put a lead bullet through a bronze breastplate from over 100 yards out. Roman writers describe the wounds as unlike anything else on the battlefield. No entry wound most of the time. Just a skull caved in from the inside, or a chest crushed like it took a hammer blow from a foot away. Hannibal hires Balearic slingers as mercenaries because nothing in the Roman arsenal outranges them. You don't see the hit coming. You hear a whip crack in the air, and then a man 3 feet from you drops with his helmet dented into his brain. The sling looks like a toy. It kills like an artillery piece. Macuahuitl. It's central Mexico sometime in the 1400s, and an Aztec warrior swings a wooden club edged with rows of razor-sharp obsidian. The Macuahuitl. Spanish conquistadors, a century later, write home in disbelief after watching one of these things take a horse's head clean off in a single stroke. Obsidian holds an edge sharper than surgical steel, sharper than the finest forged sword blade in Europe at the time. The wood does the swinging, the volcanic glass does the cutting. The weapon isn't built to stab, it's built to shred. A skilled warrior can open a man from shoulder to hip in one pass, and eyewitness accounts describe limbs coming off entirely in close combat. The trade-off is fragility. Obsidian shatters if you hit bone wrong, and the glass shards embed themselves in the wound, which makes even a shallow cut turn septic fast. The Spanish fear it more than Aztec arrows. A blade made of volcanic rock and wood outperforms European steel in the one job that matters most on a battlefield: killing fast. The Urumi, South India, and a warrior stands still in a low crouch holding what looks like a coiled belt. It's a sword. The Urumi, a blade thin and flexible enough to wrap around the wielder's own waist like a whip. Snap it forward and the metal springs straight, slicing in an arc no rigid weapon can match. Multiple blades on one hilt is common, which means a single swing can open several attackers at once in every direction. Here's the part that makes this the most dangerous weapon on this list to actually hold. The Urumi doesn't stop being deadly when it's aimed at your enemy. One wrong wrist angle and the blade whips back and opens your own leg, your own throat. Training takes years before a fighter can use it without cutting themselves apart in the process. Kalaripayattu masters in Kerala practice for a decade before they're trusted with a live blade instead of a cloth substitute. It's a sword that hates its own wielder almost as much as it hates the enemy. Zuha, Bagh, nakh. India and China both produce a version of this, and it's built for one purpose: getting close enough to kill without anyone knowing you're armed. The Bagh nakh, tiger claw, is a set of curved metal blades fitted across the knuckles, hidden entirely in a closed fist. From a distance, it looks like nothing. Up close, in a handshake or an embrace, it opens a throat or guts a man before he registers he's been touched. Maratha ruler Shivaji reportedly uses one in 1659 to kill a rival general, Afzal Khan, during what's supposed to be a peace meeting, disemboweling him mid-embrace. The Zuha, the larger Chinese cousin, mounts similar hooked claws on a longer haft for grappling armored opponents off horses. Both versions share the same philosophy. Don't overpower your enemy. Deceive him first, then finish it in under a second. Chakram. The Sikh Empire's signature weapon is a flat steel ring, sharpened on the outer edge, thrown with a flick of the wrist so it spins through the air like a discus of pure blade. The Chakram. Sikh warriors, the Akali Nihangs, wear dozens of them stacked on turbans and forearms, ready to throw in rapid succession. A trained thrower can decapitate a man or open his throat from 20 meters out, and because the ring spins on a horizontal plane, it can curve around a shield in a way a straight blade never can. It's not just a battlefield tool. Some chakrams are honed thin enough to slice a blade of grass mid-air, which sounds like showmanship until you realize that same edge is what's flying at your neck. Guru Hargobind formalizes it as a weapon of the Khalsa in the 1600s. and it becomes both a religious symbol and one of the most efficient ranged melee weapons anyone builds before gunpowder takes over. A ring of steel, thrown like a frisbee, landing like an axe. The Romphaia. Thrace, the region spanning modern Bulgaria and parts of Greece and Turkey, arms its warriors with a two-handed blade nearly a meter long, curved and single-edged, mounted on a long haft, the Romphaia. It's not a sword. It's closer to a polearm built entirely around one devastating cut, swung down and through with the full weight of both arms behind it. Roman legionaries meet this weapon head-on during the Dacian Wars in the early 100s, and it's bad enough that Rome redesigns its own armor because of it. The standard legionary helmet gets reinforced crossbars welded across the top, specifically because Romphaia strikes are caving in skulls straight through bronze. Segmented armor gets thicker shoulder plating for the same reason. A weapon forcing the most dominant military machine on Earth to redesign its equipment isn't hype. It's a documented engineering response to getting cut in half too often. The Katar. India again, and this time the weapon is a punch dagger, the Katar, gripped horizontally with a crossbar handle so the blade extends straight out from the fist like an extension of the arm itself. Instead of slashing, you drive your whole body weight forward, into the thrust, turning a stab into something closer to a piston strike. Rajput warriors favor it for exactly this reason. Against armor, a swung sword can glance off a breastplate, but a Katar thrust with full-body momentum behind it can punch straight through mail and leather in one motion. Some versions even have scissoring double blades that spread apart on impact, widening the wound the instant it lands. It's not elegant. It's not meant to be. It's meant to turn a punch into a kill. Gastraphetes. Ancient Greece, roughly the 4th century BCE, and Greek engineers build something that looks like nothing else on a battlefield of spears and shields, the gastraphetes, literally translated as belly bow. A soldier braces the weapon stock against his stomach and leans his full body weight into it to draw back a bowstring far too powerful to pull by hand alone. It's the first documented mechanical crossbow in Western history. The payoff is raw power. A Gastraphetes bolt punches through shields and armor that a regular bow can't touch, at ranges hand-drawn bows can't match either. Historian Heron of Alexandria later documents the mechanism in detail, describing a sliding case and ratchet system that lets a single soldier generate crossbow-level force without a crew. It's slower to reload than a bow, which limits it in open battle, but against fortified positions and armored elites, it's a mechanical answer to a problem muscle alone can't solve. War flail Manriki Gusari. Across medieval Europe and feudal Japan, warriors independently arrive at the same brutal idea. Put a weight on the end of a chain, connect the chain to a handle, and let the laws of physics do the rest. In Europe, it's the war flail, a spiked metal head swinging free from a haft. In Japan, it's the Manriki Gusari, a weighted chain with no rigid blade at all. The genius, and the horror, is unpredictability. A sword or spear travels a line an opponent can read and block. A flail's striking end moves on a hinge, which means it can whip around a raised shield or a parried blade and still connect, snapping wrists, shattering knees, wrapping around, and yanking a weapon clean out of an enemy's grip. The trade-off is that it's nearly as dangerous to a poorly trained wielder as it is to the enemy, since a mistimed swing can crack the user's own skull on the backswing. Nobody masters it by accident. Kopis. Ancient Greece closes this list with the weapon most soldiers would actually recognize on sight. The kopis, a single-edged sword curving forward toward the tip, shaped almost like a machete crossed with a cleaver. Where a straight blade relies on a clean thrust, the forward curve of a kopis puts extra weight and momentum right where the cut lands, turning every swing into something closer to an axe strike than a sword slash. Xenophon, writing in the 4th century BCE, recommends the kopis specifically for cavalry, since a downward chopping motion from horseback does more damage than a straight thrust ever could. It becomes the sidearm of choice for soldiers who need one blade that can hack through a shield rim, open a throat, or cave in a helmet without needing precision. No obsidian, no hidden mechanism, no chain. Just curved steel and momentum, and against flesh and bronze alike, that's more than enough to end a fight in one cut.